This is a brief biography on the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates. He is often considered to be the saint and martyr of philosophy and the father of Western thought. Unfortunately, very little about Socrates' life can be known for certain. This is due to the fact that Socrates did not document his thoughts and teachings during his lifetime. Nearly everything we know about this man comes from the recordings of his students and other Grecian figures from the time period. The main contributors were Xenophon, Aristophanes, Plato, and Aristotle. This lack of verifiable information is often referred to as the Socratic problem. It has resulted in some debate over a certain aspect of Socrates' life. One event that has not been greatly contested is the manner of his death, which I will talk about in depth later on in the video. For now, we are going to backtrack to the beginning of the story. Socrates was born in 490 BC in Athens, Greece. He came from humble beginnings. His father, Socrates, was a stone mason, and his mother, Thanarete, was a midwife. It is believed that he received a typical modest Athenian education in his youth before he explored various careers. Before he dedicated his life to philosophy, he dabbled in other fields. For a time, he reportedly worked as a stonemason like his father, before he built up his honorable military record. According to Plato, he fought as a hoplite, or a heavily armed soldier, during the Peloponnesian War fought between the city-states of Athens and Sparta. He served in 3 military campaigns at Delium, Amphipolis, and Potidaea during the expanse of the 27-year-long conflict. He was known for his fearlessness and courageousness in battle, and is believed to have even saved the life of a well-known general named Alcibiades. Once he returned to Athens, Socrates quite literally took to the streets. Unlike some philosophers of the time, Socrates did not open a formal school. He instead lived a very simple life and wandered the streets of the city, asking questions of the elite and common men alike. Instead of lecturing people on his knowledge, Socrates took a less conventional approach. Socrates was known for stating that the only thing he knew for certain was that he knew nothing, and had nothing to teach. This is why many of his lessons actually consisted almost entirely of discussions, in which he asked his subject question after question in order for the pupil to come to his own conclusions about a given subject. This practice encouraged people to not only question their personal views and beliefs, but also to question the values of Athenian society as a whole. While many people admired this questioning of Greece's traditional views, others saw him as a threat to their way of life. This created many problems for Socrates and ultimately led to his demise. Following Athens' fall from Greece at the conclusion of the Peloponnesian War, the democracy was on unstable ground. Suspicion arose around intellectuals who were believed to be undermining Athens' traditional values, and because of this, Athenian leaders were often suspicious of Socrates and his influence over the young people of Athens. Socrates was soon accused of religious piety for his disbelief in omnipotent gods and for corrupting Athenian youth, and was forced to undergo criminal trial. During this trial, Socrates chose to represent himself in front of a 500-person jury. According to Plato's eyewitness testimony of the event, known as the Apology, Socrates defended his way of life more than he rebutted the official charges set against him. It has been reported that he had an opportunity to escape his execution by fleeing into exile, but he chose not to, saying that he was a loyal citizen of Athens and was willing to abide by its laws. At the trial, he reportedly told the judges, "You are mistaken if you think that a man who is worth anything ought to spend his time weighing up the prospects of life and death. He only has one thing to consider in performing any action, that is, whether he is acting rightly or wrongly, like a good man or a bad one." He was later convicted of criminal acts by the jury, and in 399 BC, he was sentenced to death by drinking the extremely poisonous plant hemlock. Despite being condemned by ancient Athenian society, Socrates and his philosophical practices have lived on and continue to have a great deal of influence in Western culture. This influence mostly manifests itself through the Socratic method. This practice of asking step-by-step questions designed to lead a student to the truth dates all the way back to when Socrates used to mercilessly question people in the streets of ancient Athens. Today, it is often used as a method of teaching students, especially in higher levels of education. It can also be utilized as a means of therapy. The ability for a person to find truth within themselves is an empowering and enlightening lesson. It allows people to gain freedom from preconceived beliefs and socially constructed ideals. Being able to engage with the world around us and being able to challenge it allows individuals to begin to address questions of reality and existence on both a personal and societal level. Socrates' method of teaching, even though he didn't call it that, has been very influential in how philosophy and the world is understood, especially on an individual level.